What is up, App Nation? It is Steve P. Young, founder of AppMasters.com, the place you go when you want to learn the latest strategies to increase your downloads and your app's revenue. Through the podcast and through this YouTube channel, I get to talk to some amazing entrepreneurs, from the billion-dollar app companies to the guys just doing it on the side. And in this video, I want to share 3 amazing side hustle entrepreneurs out there who are coming up with creative strategies to launch their app, get awareness, get those initial downloads, and find product market fit. Tip number 1 is somebody within the App Masters Elite and Academy community. His name is Chris Ononibo, and he's going to share how he used Reddit to first validate his app idea and then use that platform for his first initial downloads.
So the way I came up with this idea was first a lot of failures along the way. Like I would say this is probably my 4th app after, like this is the 4th app I made before this. So like first I made this app for budgeting. The thing about that though was that like I think it was a very saturated market and I did not find a way to differentiate myself. Then the second one I created was this password managing app called Sentinel, which was kind of like a similar deal. I was trying to figure out a way, like just look at apps that were successful in the app store and then just try to go off that. The one key piece though that I missed is that you don't just straight copy it. You gotta like actually find like some different spin to get people interested in it. And then by accident, I came across this one app that I made called Picture Split, which was like a photo app that would allow you to like do before and after pictures. And I found that through some freelancing work where someone wanted me to do something with like their camera app. And then I by accidentally realized that this would be a cool idea. So I just did my own thing with that and got a little bit of downloads from that and realized, along with reading some books, that like if you do something different for like a specific niche of people, then that will then be more interesting to people and will help them be more interested in downloading your app. So after reading a couple of books and just different resources, I found that maybe I should try a niche market to go for. And this app that I came up with was Grounded, an app to help people quit or moderate their usage of weed. So when it came to niches, I knew that Reddit had a million different niches. And if you go to this website, like you can find, and you know, people always say like there is whatever you can do on the internet, like you'll find someone that has interest in it. So that was very true for me. So I ended up looking in the subreddit and I first realized there was an app for quitting smoking, just nicotine in general. And I was like, oh wait, maybe there's an app to help people quit smoking weed. So instead of just making it like I did in the previous iterations of other apps I made, I actually went to those communities and asked them, hey, like what app would you be interested in, this app that I'm thinking about making for quitting weed? And after going through a couple of the different subreddits, they all told me that they were super interested in this idea. So then I ended up making it and then pushing it out there and then just letting everyone know. And the other part about that I missed is that like when I told them to give me their emails so that I could let them know that the app was created so I can get some feedback and then reviews off of that.
Oh, okay. So you got their email addresses.
Yeah, I did get their email addresses.
That's awesome, dude. Were you taking them to a form or how were you collecting those email addresses?
So within the subreddit, it was just basically just like I made a subreddit post and then just had the concept of the app idea. Just like, if you're interested in this, then comment below with like your email and let me know if you're interested in this.
People posted their email address right on the Reddit form?
Yep.
That's crazy, dude. I would not expect that. That's crazy. That's really cool.
Tip number 2 is Chris again, and he shares how he used a beta testing website to get product feedback, but also how he hacked it to get app store reviews.
Did you do anything besides Reddit to grow those initial downloads after that?
So I would say my strategy for growing the downloads, so part 1 was Reddit and marketing to them and the other part I didn't mention about Reddit was that like, and it only lends itself to your app if you can do this. Like, I think it works so well for me because like my app allows you to actually show what you're doing. Like, for example, it would work well for a picture app because like you're making pictures and you show cool pictures and you consistently show those pictures and you're like, oh, cool. This is what I I took a picture of. This is pretty cool. And people can eventually see that over and over again and be like, oh, what app is this? That works. In my case, Grounded, because the thing about Grounded is you start to help people motivate themselves to quit or to moderate their usage of weed. The longer they stay on their goals, the longer their tree grows. So my app Grounded has like an acorn to tree concept that when you begin quitting or just moderating your journey, you start as an acorn, and the longer you stay on track, the acorn eventually grows into a tree. So the thing is, for me, it worked because like periodically I can just be like, hey, look, my app in my progress is I was a tree this week. I mean, I was an acorn this week, and then next week I was a sproutling, and the next week I was a small tree, and the next week I was an acorn. So the more I did that, people were like, "Oh, cool! What is this app? Like, I want to know more about this app so I can help myself." So with Reddit, it was helpful because I could show the app in action. So that was one part of my growth. The other part initially that helped me was that like I went to this website called, so first there was beta testing, and then there was I'll have to look it up, but there was another beta testing site where you can get feedback from people about creating your apps and like let them know like what they think of it. So you can get, not only can you get feedback, but then you can, at the very end of it, you can ask them like, if you enjoyed this app, please give it a rating. Not saying like give it 5 stars, just give it an honest rating if you like it.
Oh, that's a great idea, dude. I didn't even think about that. How much did you have to pay? Do you remember for that beta user?
So beta testing, if I remember correctly, it was about 60, like it was probably like 50 to $60. But
Okay.
this other one that I'm looking at, maybe I'll come back to it later. But
Okay.
it was actually free.
Really?
So,
Oh,
yeah.
interesting. So they're beta testing your app. They're giving you feedback. It's kind of like, I think it's called usertesting.com, where they'll download your app, they'll create a video, they'll talk over it, like, oh, I thought this was this, and I thought this is that. Very useful, feedback, qualitative feedback. Is that the right word? Yes, qualitative feedback. And then you hacked it by saying, hey, if you really like this app, would you mind leaving a review?
Exactly.
Nice, man. I like that.
Tip number 3 is my friend Murphy, also part of the Academy and Elite community. He shares how he uses the Apple pre-order feature and search ads to not only get those initial downloads, but also test the product to see if it will be successful. Okay, let's talk into some of the growth stuff. So what do you do when you first launch the app? How are you getting more downloads for your apps?
Yeah, so what I do is, when I'm building an app, I have no idea if it's going to be successful until I launch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll launch the app, and a lot of times I'll do the pre-launch, or a pre-order, so that you can get, whenever you first launch, it downloads to people's devices, and you have a bunch of users on the first day. So I like to do a pre-order for maybe about a month. It really depends on how long it takes me to put in those final touches. And so once it actually is live on the App Store, I like to, if it's getting amazing organic growth, then I'll immediately jump into search ads and start pumping money into it, right? Because, it's obviously doing well. But if not, I like to put maybe $50 or $250, something around that range, into some search ads to drive growth towards it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that way, you have to have users in order to test the things inside the app, like the monetization and, A/B test things in the app. And even if you're not getting a lot of downloads, you got to have users in order to optimize it, right? So I like to do that. It's a small investment to get people into the app, using the app, and kind of work things out to make them better. And if I notice that I'm not getting organic growth, then the app's dead. I'm not going to put money into it.
I see. Okay. So you're like, it has to have organic growth. I'm willing to spend the $250, but if it's not going to get organic growth on its own, then I'm not going to waste my time on this.
And I have apps that I've noticed don't get a lot of organic growth. And whenever I pay for the search ads, they get lots of downloads. It's just, maybe a niche app that people aren't searching for, but they don't know they want it until they see it on the ad, and they're like, yeah, that's a great idea.
True. I like that. Okay. The back to the pre-order phase. Are you doing any advertising on the pre-order, or are you just kind of letting Apple take its course during that pre-order
Letting
phase?
Apple take its course.
Okay.
You know, I mean, maybe your app, let's say you release it and it's getting 5 downloads a day, right? Well, if you do that for a month, then you're gonna have a lot of users compared to if you just immediately released it and now you have 5 users on your first day.
Mm.
So it's, I mean, I've always done the pre-order because, I want to have users day one.
Tip number 4 is all about how James is studying the popular apps, the top grossing apps that recently launched, and how he's using giveaways through his personal Facebook page to get those initial downloads and the oh so important initial App Store reviews. How do you figure out, like, from a monetization piece? So you've kind of determined the model. It's going to be subscription based, monthly, yearly, probably. And then how do you determine the pricing? Are you looking for specific apps with similar pricing, or like, how do you determine that part?
Yeah, absolutely. So initially, whenever I kick off an app, I try to give the market what's already working. So I don't try to differentiate, too much from what's already working, what's already out there. So I try to take a combination of the top producing app in my category and also the top producing app that's most recently launched. So for an example, in the scanner app space, there's an app that recently launched, and they've they found a lot of success, and I found that they're doing things a little differently from what the top dog in the app market is doing. So I try to add a combination of both, and then I usually approach it that way.
I love that, dude. So how do you find these, like, ones that have recently launched are doing really well?
Yep. Yeah. So pretty much the same. I just use App Annie. So within App Annie, you have the release date that you can view. And based on that, I'm able to see, okay, they're currently ranking in the top 100 grossing apps in the business category, but they've recently launched. They launched like 2 months ago, but they're already ranking. So let me take a closer look. Let me download the app and play around and see what they're doing differently that I may not be doing. And that's how I usually go about it.
You seem to be a very systematic person. Like, you have a process in place. I love those systems too. Do you have a process that, like, what I found from talking to people is, like, it's so hard to get that early users. So do you have a process that you like to go through to be like, all right, I'm going to build a minimum viable product. I'm going to get it out there, and how do you drive traffic? How do you get those downloads early on?
Yeah. So initially, one hack that I'll plug in today is that I've started hosting like free, basically, how would I word this? It's basically like a free drawing. So I allow my friends and whoever on Facebook, I allow them to participate in the drawing. And if they download, rate, and review my app, they get added into the drawing.
Wow.
And based on that, they get, $100 gift card or $100 cash prize, if they screenshot and show me evidence that they've downloaded and rated and reviewed the app. So that's how I drive those initial ratings and downloads. And then, I start implementing, the Apple search ads. That's been really good to me. And
Nice.
I try to, tweak my ASO so that I'm able to drive some organic traffic as well. But yeah, that's really how I drive the initial ratings and reviews and the downloads to help me, get a kickstart.
Dude, you're able to get good amount of people doing that? Just by putting on
Yes.
Facebook?
Yeah. So like I try to go live, at least when I do run those free drawings, I try to go live like, every other day. And I'm just reminding people, hey guys, like there's $100 on the line. It literally takes like a minute, of your time, and you can win $100. And the thing that makes it so interesting is that you can be entered into the drawing multiple times. So if you refer the app out to someone, then I'm including your name in that drawing twice. If you refer it out 3 times, your name is going in the drawing. Initially 4 times because you yourself downloaded and rated the app, and then you referred it out to 3 other people. So it gives you a higher chance of winning. So it makes it competitive in a way. So I found success doing that.
That's awesome, man. Are you using a platform or a tool to manage all this stuff, or just all
No, just
paper and pencil?
Yeah. Yep. And my wife, of course, she's helping me. But yeah, just all Excel based. You know, I'm trying to keep track of everything, and yeah, just doing it that way. I wish I had a tool that would make it a lot easier, but right now, just using Excel to do that.
And lastly, guys, tip number 5 is from yours truly, having been a side entrepreneur myself. It's the common theme that I've heard through all my side hustle entrepreneurs that I've been able to interview. So go check out the full interviews in the description below. But it's that it wasn't their first app. They launched a bunch of different apps, didn't see those initial traction, and then started iterating, figuring out what went right and what went wrong, and really studying the market to see what's really performing well. And it's a lot of research. It's boring, it sucks, but they did a lot of research, a lot of sweat equity to ensure that the app could be successful. And that's what it's all about. The common theme is it's usually not their first app. It usually takes them a couple of different apps to get a feel of the app space, to understand what works and what doesn't. And then finally, they hit on something that is generating revenues. And that's why I love talking to side hustlers out there, because that's where I was 7 years ago. And it's through iterating, it's through continually staying with it and persistence. That's how you finally, eventually will hit on something. No matter if it takes 50 apps like Rovio, or 40 apps like David Reichelt with Color Switch, or like Matthew Hall, who created Crossy Road, who's been developing games since he was the age of 12. It's a long road, it's a long journey. So if you're stuck, hopefully this gives you the inspiration to keep going, to iterate, and then find that sweet app that's gonna really do it for you. All right, guys, let me know what you guys thought of this particular video in the comments below, and make sure you like it and hit that subscribe button. Let's get to that 15,000 if we're not already there yet. Until next time, I'll see you on the next video.